A command to his son. Mandatum ad filium suum. Here I reach forth mine hands against thee in the sign of the Enterer, O son of my bowels, for with all magical might I will that thou fight manfully and labor with diligence, with sword and trowel, say I, in this work. For this is the first and the last of all, that thou bid every man do what he will, in accord with his own true nature. Therefore also blast thou that lie that man is of fallen and evil nature. For the word of sin is restriction, the doubt of his own Godhead, the suppression of, which is the blasphemy against, his own Holy Spirit. Saith not the book of the law that it is a lie, this folly against self? Therefore to every man, in every circumstance, say thou, do what thou wilt, and teach him, if he yet waver, how to discover his true nature, earnestly and with ardor, even as I have striven to teach thee, yea, and more also.
Wherefore he begat his son, so that there be freedom. Quare filium creavit, ut fiat libertas. Do what thou wilt, be this our slogan of battle in every act, for every act is conflict. There victory leapeth shining before us, for who may thwart true will, which is the order of nature herself. Thou hast no right but to do thy will. Do that, and no other shall say nay. For if that will be true, its fulfillment is of a surety as daylight following sunrise. It is as certain as the operation of any other law of nature. It is destiny. Then, if that will be obscured, if thou turn from it to wills diseased or perverse, how canst thou hope? Fool, even thy turns and twists are in the path to thine appointed end. But thou art not sprung of a slave's loins. Thou standest firm and straight, thou dost thy will, and thou art chosen, nay, for this work wast thou begotten in a magic bed, that thou shouldst make man free.
On his frailty, de sua debilitate. Listen attentively, my son, while I with heavy heart make confession to thee of my own frailty. Thou knowest that I made renunciation of my wage, taking this body immediately after my death, the death of Eliphaz Leví Saheb, as men say, that I might attain to this great work. It is now 20 years, as men count years, that I came to my first understanding of my true nature, and aspired to that work. Now then, at first I made no error. I abandoned my chosen career. I poured out my whole fortune without one thought. I gave my life utterly to the work, without keeping back the least imaginable thing. So then I made swift strides along the path, but in the Dhyanas that were granted unto me in Kandy, in the island of Lanka, I used up my whole charge of magical energy, and for 2 years I fell away from the work.
On the hand that opposed the Magus, demonuquae magum sustinit. Now it may be well that such periods of recuperation are necessary to such souls as mine, and so no ill. But I fell from my will and sought other ends in life, and so the hand came upon me and tore away that which I desired, as thou knowest. Also what is written in the temple of Solomon the king. Yet consider also these 2 years as a necessary preparation for that greatest of all events which befell me in Ilkhira, in the land of Kem. The choice of me is the word of the Aeon. Now then, for a while I work with my will, though not wholly, and again the hand reached forth and smote me. This, albeit my slackness, was but as a boy playing truant, not a revolt against myself. Wherefore, despite all, I made much progress in short time.
On his sin, de suo peccato. Now then, well schooled, I strove no more against my nature, and worked with all my will. Thou knowest well how greatly I was rewarded. Yet in this last initiation to the grade of Magus, therein 73 days, as men count days, is but one day, the ordeal grew so fierce and intolerable that I gave back a step. I did not utterly renounce the work, but I swear not to continue unless mine agony were abated. But after 15 days, I came to myself in a certain ordeal, wherein I knew myself finally, that I could not do other than to take up that fearful burden, that had broken my spirit. And for those 15 days have I not suffered infinite things? Was there not the tree of my work frozen, one branch withered, and one blasted? Look no more, O my son, upon thy father's shame.